So hello everyone. This is the second lesson in your subject, Introduction to Philosophy of the Human Person. Before our first topic, we discussed about the different branches of philosophy. And now, we're going to tackle the difference between holistic perspective from a partial point of view. So ano ba ang pagkakaiba ng holistic perspective at partial point of view? So let's define or let's see the definition of holistic thinking. Holistic thinking refers to a perspective that considers large-scale patterns in systems. A holistic perspective requires an individual to have an open-minded or open mindset and ability to get the general sense or impression regarding a situation. Na yung pananaw na tinitignan mo as a whole ang isang sitwasyon. So, iniisip mo yung epekto ng magiging reaction mo kung magre-react ka sa larger scale. The next one is the partial thinking. Partial thinking focuses on specific aspects of a situation. The partial view is an important component of analytical thinking as an individual focuses on certain areas or aspects of a problem in order to understand it. So in partial naman, you are focusing on a specific part only. While in holistic, you consider the totality of the situation. The term holistic thinking refers to a big picture mentality in which a person recognizes the interconnectedness of various elements that form larger systems, patterns, and objects. Thinking holistically is the opposite of analyzing something, which involves breaking down a larger system into its details. So sinabi dito that holistic thinking ay yung tinitignan mo nga the bigger picture or the whole sum of a situation. Then from whole, inuunti-unti mo siyang ginagawang into specific details. In philosophy, point of view describes the perception of an event or phenomenon and how exactly it is viewed. Point of view often is shaped by an individual's belief or experiences. Though partial thinking is useful, philosophy utilizes holistic thinking in making sense of problems and issues related to the human experiences. So even though pwede mong gamitin ang partial thinking or point of view, in philosophy, they always used holistic thinking because you always consider the total situation or the total scenario. Unlike in point of view or partial thinking, you only focus on specific details. So if you are going to use partial thinking, ang magiging result ng judgment mo kapag ay magiging bias. So this is an example of an illustration between partial thinking and holistic thinking. So the big picture here represents the holistic thinking, while the detail-oriented represents the partial thinking. Next one, in connection to our topic, is the value of doing philosophy in obtaining a broad perspective of life. So why do we philosophize? We all have the potential to philosophize since we have the tendency to wonder and doubt. So we have the ability to philosophize now because we have the potential to perceive, to have perception. Yan. Pagkakaintindi. philosopher is a good communicator who can clearly and adequately present his or her ideas. So it says that if you want to be a good philosopher, you should have a clear and adequate idea. Doing philosophy can be applied in day-to-day activities and life perspectives because it involves an evaluative process. Doing philosophy allows a person to make better decisions and act accordingly to situations with the help of various philosophical skills. On life perspective, philosophy enables reflective thinking, which greatly influences a person's view of life, challenges, and relationships. So, in doing philosophy or philosophizing, nagre-reflect ka muna kasi. So, we can apply doing philosophy in our day-to-day activities because if you are referring your judgment to certain philosophical theories or concepts, magre-reflect ka muna before you react to certain situations, di ba? Isipin mo muna kung tama or mali ba ang pangyayari or ang gagawin mo. Kumbaga, iisipin mo muna kung ano ba ang magiging epekto kapag pinili mo ang desisyon na to or ginawa mo ang action na to. So, we have the ability to do philosophize because we know how to perceive. Marunong tayong mag-isip. Marunong tayong umunawa. In doing philosophy, a holistic perspective on the subject is always required. Failure to do so or only using a partial point of view may lead to illogical or incorrect conclusion. So, if you want to exercise doing philosophy, palagi mo dapat gagamitin ang holistic perspective. Bakit? Kasi titignan mo nga yung bigger picture. Kung ginawa mo ba to, ano ang magiging epekto nito sa magulang mo, sa pag-aaral mo, sa future mo, sa mga kaibigan mo, sa kapatid mo, like that. You always think about the bigger picture, not just the specific details like yourself. Halimbawa, nagnakaw ka, or halimbawa, merong naiwan na pera sa tricycle, tapos sumakay ka. Hindi napansin ng tricycle driver na may naiwan yung nauna niyang pasahero. As a passenger, sasabihin mo sa kuya driver na, kuya, may naiwan yung pasahero mo kanina. Sasabihin mo ganun. If you're not going to philosophize, magiging greedy ka, you only consider your point of view because you also need money, kukunin mo siya without informing other people. But if you use holistic perspective, inisip mo, kailangan ba nung naiwan yung naiwan? Like that. So, you always consider the bigger picture. Plato traced man's need to philosophize to his sense of wonder. Whenever we are confronted with an experience, we always wonder how it came about. So, sinabi ni Plato na nawa-wonder daw tayo if we philosophize. French philosopher René Descartes traced the need to philosophize to doubt. In life, we will be faced with several ideas and arguments which present themselves as truths. A critical and questioning perspective is necessary to determine if indeed these ideas or views are correct or not. So we also use doing philosophy or philosophizing or philosophize in seeking the truth. So, ayan. Because sometimes we refer our judgment sa philosophy na alam natin that will lead us if that specific details na sinabi niya ay totoo or hindi. According to Swiss-German philosopher Karl Jaspers, saw the need of philosophize because of experience. These experiences limit situation. Philosophy provides us a mean to understand adverse or challenging conditions and to rise above them and gain new knowledge and perspective. So ginagawa daw natin ang philosophize para mas maunawaan ang mga bagay-bagay. And because we understand things, we gain knowledge from those um, ideas. And kapag ganun, lumalawak yung knowledge natin, lumalawak na din ang pangunawa natin. The need to philosophize is driven by the love for wisdom. To love wisdom is to have an insatiable desire for truth. Philosophy itself is a distinct area of knowledge with its own goals, concerns, and way of doing things. Next, doing a philosophical reflection on a situation from holistic perspective. So first, let us define reflection, human self-reflection, and philosophy and philosophical reflection. So reflection reflection requires a person to be willing to examine one's thought, feelings, and action and to learn more about one's life and experiences. So we do that all the time, di ba? We reflect, we examine ourselves, our thoughts, before we make judgment or action. Or if tapos mo nang nagawa ang isang bagay, we also reflect on it. Tama ba yung ginawa ko? Tama ba yung mga sinabi ko sa kanya? Parang nasaktan ko siya. So that is reflection. Reflection din ang gagawin ko ba to? Kung gagawin ko to, ano kaya magiging resulta? Mga ganon. So that is reflection. Human self-reflection is the capacity of humans to exercise introspection and to attempt to learn more about their fundamental nature and essence. So introspection is you inspect yourself para malaman mo kung ano ba yung nasa loob mo. That is human self-reflection. Philosophy has an important place in our daily lives. Engaging in philosophical reflection leads to the development of beneficial skills that individuals can apply in everyday situations. So, mahalaga ang philosophy sa ating buhay. Bakit? Because natututo tayo sa mga words of wisdom ng mga philosophers and we tend to apply those teachings sa ating buhay and napapagaan ang ating pangunawa sa mga bagay-bagay kung bakit nangyayari mga ganito, kung na-foresee na natin kung ano ang magiging resulta ng mga bagay din kung gagawin natin ang action na to. Diba? Reflection is vital in ensuring that our actions and decisions are well thought out and are done with due regards to their implications and consequences on ourselves, others, and our surroundings. So we do reflection because we want to know, or there is called assessment sa sarili natin. Diba sinabi ko nga kanina, you can do a reflection before or after a situation. So tatanungin mo sa reflection mo, nasaktan ko ba si ganito dahil sinabi ko yung ganyan? Ano kayang magiging iisipin niya sa akin? Ano bang magiging kahihinatnan ng relasyon namin? Like that. Those are reflections. When we reflect, we can judge whether our actions or decisions are reasonable or not. Doing philosophy enables a person to engage in critical analysis and interpretation, concepts, definitions, arguments, and problems. So we do philosophy or doing philosophy na trigger ang ating pagiging or pagkakaroon ng critical thinking or analysis. Doing philosophy also improves problem solving and decision making. The ability to analyze a problem or dilemma identifies the significant aspects and come up with alternative solutions is an important skill learned through philosophy. So doing philosophy also improves our decision-making process because may pinangahawakan ka ng filosofiya di ba? So if you hold on that kind of philosophy, um, for example, you you're going to always be honest, something like that. So kapag ginawa mo yon or hinold mo yung prinsipyo mo na yon, you will exercise that for the rest of your life and kasakasaman mo siya sa mga decision mo kapag. Halimbawa, kapag may nakita kang binaril dahil ang pilosopiya mo sa buhay ay pagiging honest ka, so sasabihin mo sa police na nakita mong binaril si ganito. Ganyan. O kaya generosity, mga ganon. And other things related to philosophy. So wisdom, as it refers to a person's ability to apply knowledge to daily life, particularly in making sound choices and judgment, is the intended product of philosophizing. So if you have the knowledge but you don't exercise it or hindi mo ina-apply, that is just a mere knowledge. Nakastock lang yan na parang bigas pero hindi mo sinasaing, hindi pwedeng kainin kasi bigas siya. Ganun. Finally, knowledge of philosophy can contribute to self-development. So, why? Why self-development? Because nakikilala mo na yung sarili mo just by knowing different philosophical skills, concepts, and ideas. And kapag in-apply mo yun, mas naiintindihan mo ang sarili mo at ang mga pangyayari sa paligid mo, kung bakit nangyayari ito, kung ginawa mo to, nagiging product niya yung ganito, like that. Hindi lang self-development, kundi understanding na din ng surrounding. So examples of activities that emanated from a deliberate reflection. Learning from your previous mistakes and not repeating them again. Evaluating and knowing the best choice from a set of options. And gaining a holistic point of view first before making conclusion. So these are the examples of activities that emanated from a deliberate reflection. So first one, dahil natuto ka na sa mistake na ginawa mo noon, hindi mo na siya uulitin. So nai-reflect mo na yon na kapag ginawa mo to, magiging result niyan. So in the future, kapag naka-encounter ka ng ganong situation ulit and you have choices at ang isang choice ay yung that will lead to mistake, you won't choose that specific choice. You know? So evaluate and know the best choice from a set of options. So just like my first example. And you tend to use holistic perspective in making decisions because you consider the wholis or the whole na hindi na lang pansarili. So after all those discussions, I have an activity for you. So the direction is like this. Complete the table below. Write your answer on the space provided. So the actions are buying a new gadget, choosing a friend, eating food, decision where to study in college, joining an organization in school, helping a stranger, going out with friends, posting your opinion or feelings in the social media, going out with the opposite sex, and confronting a person who verbally hurt you. The next column is what must be done before the action. So number one, for example, buying a new gadget. So ano ba ang reflection mo sa sarili mo bago ka bumili ng gadget. Kung ako, bibili ako ng gadget. Kailangan ko ba ng bagong gadget? May budget ba ako para sa bagong gadget? Para saan ko gagamitin ang gadget, di ba? Then, ano kaya ang magiging, kung bibili man ako, saan ako bibili? Kung bibili man ako, anong brand? Then, kung bibili man ako, maaalagaan ko ba yung na mabuti? Mga ganon ang mga tanong mo. Some questions are practical, some questions are not practical. So, there are some, yun yung mga magiging, or yun yung mga gagawin ko, or katanungan ko sa sarili ko bago ako bumili ng gadget. So, ililista ko muna yan. So, I listed those questions. Buying a new gadget. Saan ako bibili? Magkano ang budget ko? So, with those things that I'm going to do or listing, makikinita ko na kung kailangan ko ba talagang bumili ng new gadget and kung ano ang swak lang sa budget ko. So, yan. So, choosing a friend. Paano ka mamili ng kaibigan? Eating food. And so on. So, you can do this in your spare time as an exercise on how you reflect on in doing actions or before doing an action. So I hope you learned something. Kahit yung holistic perspective lang at partial thinking, di ba? Holistic thinking, iniisip mo ang kabuuan. Partial thinking, you only think about a specific person or specific aspect or detail. Doing philosophy, nagre-reflect ka muna sa pilosopiyang pinanghahawakan mo bago mo gawin ang isang bagay or bago mo desisyonan.